Hello my friends, let's go straight away to the front lines, and we have the good news for Ukraine. It goes on a counterattack in Lyman direction. There are multiple of the vectors. You may see it in Svetohirsk, also Drobyshevo, Lyman itself, and also there is the Ukrainian counterattack towards Yampel. Yeah, the letters are Cyrillic here because the map is presented by the Russian military bloggers, and they definitely confirm the Ukrainian offensive towards Yampel. It was partially successful. Partially because the fight there continues and the eastern part of the city is under the Russian full control. So we'll see how the situation there in Yampel may develop. But there is the chance to cut Russian supplies on the road T0513. It goes from Yampel towards Lyman itself. Well, you may say Russians are also attacking here, so it's hard to tell definitely in Lyman who has an upper hand, but I think that in some of the points of Lyman direction, Ukraine has an advantage, as for example in Svetohirsk and Yampel. For Ukraine, those 2 points I would say critical, because if Russians go and take Yampel fully towards Ozerne and further, and also Svetohirsk, well, it means that Ukrainian supplies practically are cut in Lyman direction. It is already very hard to supply Ukrainian group in Lyman, but it could be a disastrous situation for the remains of the Ukrainian armed forces in this city. So if Russians really concentrate their forces on this direction this year, they have the potential to take Lyman in 2026. But we know that, for example, in Konstantinivka direction, the fight for the city is happening for more than a year without vivid, visible success for the Russian army, even though they try to attack with small infiltration tactics. But that tactics, of course, brings severe losses for the Russian army. Nevertheless, they don't have the alternative for now. They advance in attempt to get more ground, but there is no strategic perspective for them to really be successful in the coming several years in Donetsk direction. Here's, for example, a small group of the Russian soldiers. They managed to get out from the battle alive, and they were just resting, congratulating each other that everything is over for them, luckily, and it's time to get back to the Russian positions. But it was too early for them to celebrate because Ukrainian drone visited them. And here on the channel I cannot show you what happened to those Russian soldiers, but I will probably share this video on my Telegram channel where there is kind of the low censorship, so you may see it yourself. Well, those soldiers will not be capable to conduct similar missions any longer, and I just wonder who trained them. Well, the Russian army, obviously, but they were all together even though they saw the drone coming. It's better to split immediately, but they stayed at the one place and drone visited all of them. My friends, just a short reminder for you, please press like to this video while you're watching it and also subscribe for the channel. We're on the way to reach 1 million subscribers. Hopefully it will happen as soon as possible. Both of those 2 actions are for free, but if you really want to support my job, you are very welcome to join me on Patreon. The link for it is in the video description right below, or press button join to join membership of YouTube channel. If you watch me on YouTube, the button is just somewhere over here. My friends, you are just awesome. Thank you so much for your kind support. Let's continue with the video. Well, at the same time, the situation in other directions of the front lines is kind of difficult for Ukrainian army. For example, in Konstantinivka, and there were 2 of the losses of Ukrainian army, plus Ukrainian soldiers retreated from Stupachki, so this territory was taken lately by the Russian side. Well, this partial success of the Russian army is possible just because they use enormous resources. After all, they prepared for the spring offensive operation, they accumulated lots of the artillery shells, and they use aviation gliding bomb strikes together with drones. So with this massive wall of fire, they still try to go to Konstantinivka. They're getting closer, yes, but they're not in the city directly. Those attack attempts, like for example this gray zone extension, they happened long time ago, 3 weeks something. It was the last months. At the same time, Russians are trying to bypass Konstantinivka from the sides. For example, in Stepanivka, Russian group was spotted, but later on it was cancelled by Ukrainian drones. So it's definitely hard for Russians to propel forward because of the kill zone. So this goal to take Konstantinivka, Drushkivka, Kramatorsk and Slavansk plus Lyman, I don't think it's real for the next couple of years for Russia, judging on the pace of their achievements, of their territorial gains. Nevertheless, they try to move, especially now from Siversk. Siversk was occupied roughly 4 months ago, and Russia here tries to assault expanding the gray zone and also causing losses for Ukrainian armed forces. This vehicle was lost a few days ago, not far away from Alexandrivka. So I expect Russians to take more ground here in the coming few weeks or maybe few months, but the defense line, the main one, goes very close to Slavyansk and Kramatorsk, and the fight for those towns and cities will happen the same way as in Konstantinivka, so for a very, very long time. The fight for Pokrovsk was happening for almost 2 years, and yes, Russians took it, but still they have losses in their so-called controlled territory because Ukraine uses drones elsewhere. By the way, aviation strikes as well. There was an attempt of the Russian army to get to Rodinske, but they were flatlined by Ukrainian army. They're keeping several buildings under control in this settlement. There was also Ukrainian counterattack in Novopavlovka, let's say advancement of Ukrainian army. There was one building taken by the Russian forces, Russian infantry, and Ukraine dealt with that successfully. Russians are trying to get Novopavlovka already for a very long time, but they cannot do it because Novopavlovka is kind of far away from the nearby Russian positions, for example in Dachne and Zaporizhia villages, and they have to cross the open field environment, and it is fully controlled by Ukrainian drones. In Zaporizhia and Dnipropetrovsk direction, everything is standard. For the last few days, there were more aviation strikes, more drone strikes, but without the change of the front line. But if we go to the deep state military map, they have the update from the Sumy region confirming the advancement of the Russian army. They crossed the border in Miropilsky, Prohody and Marine. So here we have this update, but actually this fight is happening already for several months. Deep State just decided to update their map. Sometimes they're keeping the situation on the front lines as a secret, especially if we speak about the Ukrainian counteroffensive operations. Till the very last moment of Ukrainian success, they are not updating their map, or they're updating with just gray zone. Here it was an attack of the Russian army that happened 2 months ago, and they continue to strike Ukrainian positions in the Sumy region. The idea that was confirmed by the Russian General Command is to make a buffer zone in the Sumy region. That's what they call, buffer zone, basically occupation of the Sumy region, but the destiny for them here will be the same as in northern part. So they might go inside, but because the terrain here is kind of difficult and Ukraine has its own defense, there is no variant for Russians to go to Sumy, well, maybe in several years. They mostly concentrate their forces in Donetsk direction. Sumy is just to deflect the attention of Ukrainian armed forces, causing Ukraine to spread resources elsewhere along very, very long front line. And I forgot to say the biggest update of the deep state military map for the last time, that they removed the clown emoji from Budapest. It was the same as in Bratislava, Slovakia, where Fico is still a prime minister, but something happened in Hungary and Budapest is now liberated. By the way, here we have the video from the Sumy region. As usual, Russians are running and Ukrainian drones are flying to get their photos. Some of those photos are lost for Russians. From what I see, they make mistakes gathering in the large groups, even behind the front lines. Then they get some of the settlement under control, or some of the structure or the part of the settlement. They're just walking there as they accomplish the task and installed invisible wall behind which Ukrainian drones are just unable to fly, but it's all hoax, and it tells a lot about the poor training of the Russian soldiers. By the way, there was so-called ceasefire for the Orthodox Easter celebration, but it was terrible. It was violated by Russians multiple of the times, and we have the confirmation also published by the deep state military map source of how Russians unfortunately cancelled lots of the Ukrainian soldiers at the front lines. There was an attempt of Ukrainian army to remove bodies from positions, but Russians met Ukrainian evacuation group with fire. And it happened in 2 of the occasions, so roughly 10 of Ukrainian soldiers were hit by Russian drones. And this ceasefire is no more. Zelensky called Putin to continue it, but Putin said, well, Peskov, the spokesman of Kremlin, said that no, we're gonna go with war until we reach the goals of the special military operation. If Ukraine doesn't want to withdraw the forces from Donbas, we'll make it in military way. Okay, couple of the Russian soldiers decided not to conduct the mid-wave attack operation, and they were punished by local commander, who told them with the help of the stick that they next time should commence to orders and go to take something, some of the field, some of the tree line, at least for the time for the drone to go and film them with the flag. Well, at least it usually happens like that. Well, here it could be a different context, because this seems to be kind of far away from the front lines, judging on those sandbags, so maybe they did something else wrong, and here is the Russian army tradition, punishment, and which could be only physically conducted. Okay, Ukrainian drones are in action. This is Ukraine ground unmanned vehicle. It is performing the evacuation of the wounded personnel, so this soldier was delivered. It is now the corridor. The car was sent later on with infantry personnel to get the guy out, and drone continued its mission. So drones, ground drones, are everywhere already on the front lines, and Ukraine, of course, has an advantage because Ukraine controls those with the help of the Starlink. Russians do not have Starlinks, so they cannot use their drones for the longer distance as Ukraine does. President Zelensky commented that for the first time in history, Ukrainian ground drones were capable to take Russian position only with the drone force, without any sort of the infantry. Russians were annihilated and repelled. So this is the standard-looking attack drone with a Browning machine gun, from what I understood. And they are very effective. Those Brownings are everywhere in Ukrainian army. They're also used for the air defense against Shahid drones and other low-flying targets. And yeah, Zelensky filmed kind of the interesting video today. Here's President Zelensky, behind there is FP5 Flamingo and some of the new munition. Some of the missiles were presented for the first time to the public. Like for example, Orion missile was presented for the first time. It is the conversion from Polanitsa, like the next stage of the project. Different name, Orion, very light, carbon fiber. Missile drone is capable to cover 600 kilometers. The payload is up to 120 kilograms. Here it is from the different perspective, looks like a small cruise missile. And of course, long Neptune that was converted from the older version of Neptune with extra fuel tanks is capable to get this missile the range up to 1,000 kilometers. Ukraine has already used those missiles very effectively, for example, targeting Novorossiysk port several months ago. And by the way, there was one more strike the last week, and Russia is still unable to launch the port for the export, because the key lines and equipment which is used for refueling of the tankers, they are still damaged beyond repair, so Russians have to halt the operation. Yeah, Russia's crude oil export from top Black Sea port remain limited, they say. Well, actually now it's not possible to export the oil from the main oil terminal of Novorossiysk, so those two berths, they called, of Novorossiysk remain empty on Sunday, according to Copernicus Sentinel imagery source Bloomberg. So we have the confirmation that oil tankers, well, they are parked, but they are not in operation for refueling procedure. Also, Ukraine has presented ground-to-air missile, which looks similar to Buk missile. It's called Coral, so you may see it here, Coral. You may see those dots, and the dots are here, so I would say definitely it's the same missile. For now, it is more experimental, but was already used for the tests. Well, the range of this missile is 20, maximum 30 kilometers. It's the good replacement for Buk missiles, which is crucial for the middle-range air defense layer. So you have long range, it's S-300, S-400. Well, Ukraine doesn't have S-400, but Ukraine has Patriots and S-300, some of those. Then Ukraine has Buks and Iris-T. And the inner layer is Gepard, air defense, Shilka, mobile groups, and manpads. And occasionally there could be some of the independent spots of Ukrainian drone interceptors, which are effective, I would say, at any sort of the range. Depends on where you launch those drones from, so they're more mobile compared to any sort of the air defense, at least for now. But drones are not capable to intercept Russian ballistics and Russian cruise missiles. They're only used for the drone interceptions, like for example Shahid drones. So we have some good news of the Ukrainian army production. That's why investments are crucial for Ukraine, and I'm very happy that Peter Magyar, who will be a new Prime Minister of Hungary, already mentioned that 90 billion euros for Ukraine will be unblocked by Hungary. And Ukraine conducts some of the strikes on Russian facilities. This is Cherpovets factory. a chemical one that was producing some of the explosive components for the Russian military use, and it was hit by multiple of Ukrainian drones. Those are FP2 usually or FP1. So we witness how Ukraine gets more and more independent from the Western producers of the weapons. Long-range missiles, even air defense, is achievable for Ukraine with those investments in the production. But of course, Ukraine has to rely on European support, and thank you so much, Europeans, for your help. We would like to have more, of course, because European Union companies continue to spend lots of the money to purchase Russian fossil fuels, Russian resources. It's impossible to get independent right away from Russian fuel. I understand it, but still, in this case, Europe should help Ukraine even more. And also the situation in the Middle East, in Iran, it is not profitable for Europe right now to get rid of the Russian gas and oil, because the alternative was there inside the Persian Gulf, which is now being blocked by two of the sides, Iran and the United States of America. And let's speak about that topic. We have more and more signs that the military operation will be re-established against Iran. I'm almost certain about it. One more air carrier USS George Bush is going to the operational area to reinforce the entire United States group. So what's the use to send this large group of the forces if you are not planning to intensify military action? So I expect that in the coming days there will be again bombs of Iran. Hopefully those will not be power plants or distillation units, because Iran may respond in the same way, hurting Gulf countries, and they also very dependent on distillation plants and electricity. Plus, one more evidence that something big is coming is the movement of the United States transport aircraft who are delivering more and more ammunition to the Middle Eastern bases. They're flying empty from Middle East and loaded into Middle East. It is really the sign that there will not be any sort of the peace agreement reached anytime soon. Plus, it was confirmed by Israeli media and Wall Street Journal that definitely United States administration and Israel are looking for the limited escalation and continuation of the special military operation. Whether it's going to include ground forces for now, we're not sure, but still several thousand of the military personnel is presented in a military bases ready for assault and landing operations, but it is not enough to occupy the shore of Iran. Maybe just limited areas, maybe some of the islands, but this kind of the small ground operation could be conducted. We never know, especially with the current management of the United States and Israel, they might escalate to those steps. Well, IDF will not use their ground forces, it's 100%. They will use their aviation only, long-range strikes, that is what they're locked on. But in the United States, there could be some of the infantry operations. And there are official reports that Iran's nuclear program has survived. It has survived last year's strikes, and if there were some this year, also survived, because it is deep underground. So the question goes is whether United States might perform the riskiest operation in a human history, deploying sabotage forces in attempt to get this enriched uranium from Natanz, Qom, and other facilities of Iran. Well, maybe that rescue operation might push Pentagon officials to commence that one, but it's, again, very, very risky. And I'm not sure whether the competence of the United States Army with Pete Hegseth and the competence of Donald Trump and his circle will allow this operation to be successful. I think it's going to be a mess up, potentially. So if you ask me, I would bet on escalation, but how far that escalation might go, it's hard to say. And about the terms of the war, I think it will continue for at least several more months. And we see that the oil prices, they're skyrocketing once again. A crude oil is trading around $105 a barrel for today. Alright guys, I'm gonna keep you updated. Please support my job on Patreon. The link for it is in the video description right below. And also you may join membership of YouTube channel. If you watch me on YouTube, please press button join. Thank you guys for your kind support. Without your help, my job wouldn't be possible. And also don't forget to press like to this video and subscribe for the channel. We are on the way to reach 1 million subscribers. Guys, you're awesome. You're the best. I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.